think most of the people that listen to this podcast are consistent with their training, but they're not consistent with the things that they need to do. It's time to sit down, keep it real, and cut the bullshit. Welcome to Table Talk. All right, guys, we are recording our crew cast, which I don't want to say table talk because it's a crew cast, making this available to everybody. Second time this year that we've done that. I have some housekeeping to do before we start. Today we're going to recap 2025. This will still go out before 2026. And we're going to get into the 7 deadly sins of training. But before that, I want to talk about the lifetime crew membership that I had running, but then I stopped. But then I realized I did not promote that on the podcast, which is kind of like stupid if you think about it. So the lifetime crew membership, what that is exactly what it is. It's the crew membership for the lifetime that if you just use the link that's in the description or the QR code, you have that. What is the crew? The crew is, we have a Discord server with that. You get this crew cast that we do once a month. There's an ebook. I think there's like 65 ebooks that are in there right now. There's a Discord community to where questions are being answered. Form checks are in there. Tom's in there like 24/7, it seems like, taking questions from that. And it is the best way to support the podcast. So, for example, this past year, we have published 67 podcasts versus last year, I think it was 50. And the reason we're able to do that is because of you guys that help us with the crew. By joining the crew, which is link is in the description, hit that. Second one is I want to kind of pimp out Merrick Health right now because everybody's going to have these New Year's resolutions. And if you've listened to the podcast, the number of times we discuss blood work and metrics of blood work, and when we get into the year in review, I'll probably speak about my blood work to a certain degree. It's one of the best metrics that you can have if you're all in, on that end. And also, if you're on the longevity end, pretty much everybody should be getting their blood work checked.
I was going to say, I don't even think you have to be all in.
No.
It should just be basic requirement, right? Now it's so easily accessible for people, especially with companies like Marek. The question I would ask is, why would you not?
Exactly. Exactly. So that's MerrickHealth.com/table talk. Link again is in the description. The table talk code will get you 10% off. And then these supplements over here that we brought in is through, I'll let Tom speak a little bit more about it, but it's Christian Thibodeau. When it comes to supplements, guys, I take everything. The amount of shit that I take is unbelievable. And all I really give a shit about when it comes to the protein powder is that it's as clean as possible and it doesn't taste like shit. And I would say the amount of grams of protein per scoop kind of matters, but to me, it doesn't matter as much as, is this palatable? Sure. Can I drink it? Can I mix it in my oatmeal? And I did try the chocolate and it's palatable. I liked it. It's good. It's not gross. Sometimes there's still some gross shit out there.
Well, it sounds like you have really low standards there, but actually it's really surprising now, isn't it? You can look at the breakdown. It's this is only 65 or 70% protein, whatever. It's got this amount of carbs per scoop. How does it still taste terrible? How do you fit that much sugar in it? And still, it's an effort, surely, to do that.
I've always wondered why, because most people that are taking protein supplements are not dieting. Why not just put the fucking sugar in it? Sure. If it was me, it would just be the protein and sugar.
And then they'll actually use it.
Yes. Yeah. But what I liked about the one there is it has the collagen in it, which I typically just throw extra collagen in anyhow. So it's kind of built in. And it's Christian Thibodeau's brand, right?
It is.
And they just launched. So they're not a sponsor. So I want to help them with the launch. And with that, they gave us a discount code, which is ELITE30. The link will be in the description. I'm not a pre-workout guy, so I'll let Tom kind of get into talk about some of the nuance with their products.
Yeah, sure. So, obviously we got the two proteins there, the anabolic and the eternal. The main difference between them is, like you said, the collagen that's included in the eternal. For me, the good thing about that is Collagen is a great thing to be taking, especially when you have to start worrying more about like your connective tissue and your joint health and that type of thing. That Eternal protein has that included and is like only fractionally more expensive than the regular anabolic protein. So like if you're someone who needs to supplement with that, it's actually more cost efficient and easier to just get it in the Eternal one. The cool thing about both of those for me, and this is where Christian's like nerdiness comes out, is they both have leucine added to it.
Yeah.
So it's essentially like getting all of the benefits of taking like a branched chain amino acid supplement integrated into your whey protein, because leucine is the main one that drives up mTOR and all the cool anabolic stuff. Well, there's like, I think it's 5 grams of it added per serving there. So like you look at the protein content, I think it's about 80% in the anabolic one and like 75 in the Eternal, which is already pretty good. But then you're getting that serving of leucine in there, which really drives up the actual effect that it's going to have in your body. So both of those, if you know, in reality, if you could design a perfect whey protein, it would have leucine added into it. No one else has really done that yet, and now you've got 2 different options there for doing that, which I think is great. The pre-workout for me, then, I like it because it doesn't have a crazy amount of caffeine in it. It's like 200 milligrams per serving. I know some people are look at that and be like, "Well, that doesn't do anything." It should do something, but when we look beyond that 200 milligrams of caffeine, what you see in there is it's also got like 6 grams of citrulline malate per serving, which is actually a dose that's going to do something in terms of improving vasodilation and your endurance and your workout performance. The other cool thing that's in there though is the glycerol and the electrolytes, sodium, potassium, etc. So glycerol is used by bodybuilders before they do like shows and photo shoots and all that stuff, because basically it pulls water into your muscle, makes you look more pumped. But the other thing that also does is hydrate your muscles better. So then you have glycerol and all the electrolytes in there, just basically pulls all that fluid into your muscles along with anything else that you might be taking like carbs or whatever, and basically helps you like hyper storage basically pre-workout. So it's a really good one for anyone, but it's probably even better for people who have like higher volume workloads, or even if you're like a sports player, like a hockey game or football game, it's going to allow you to have better storage of nutrients in your muscles for longer. So I think it's very well balanced, like it's good for everyone, but I'd say this one is better for those individuals doing more volume or longer endurance things, where typically your average pre-workout doesn't cater for that at all. So it's kind of going at it from a bit of a different angle. So that's why I like those.
Check them out. Like I said, the link's in the description. They're a startup, and they don't have a lot of shit on the label, right? So the ingredients that are in there are just what's needed, with not this proprietary blend and all these other. I had to look at the labels a couple times because I'm like, what?
Well, half is in French for a start.
Well, yeah. Like they're missing some of the stuff there.
Yeah.
But you know, Christian's done a lot for the industry, and it's a good supplement line. So
I think them being based in Canada also kind of helps, because their guidelines are so strict. So they have to, all the stuff you buy from them in the US is done according to the Canadian standards, which is, there's a lot less you can get away with, should we say.
Like Fruit Loops not being.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so we'll move on from that. We'll go into like a year in review. So I'll go to you and say, training wise, how was your past year?
Oh, wow. Okay. Training wise, well, so far I'm over 2 years into a diet experiment that shouldn't work. That's working really well. It is the longest amount of time that I've ever stuck with any form of nutrition plan, which is basically alternating between fasting on days I don't train and pretty high carbs on days that I do. And the idea was basically just to get leaner and more muscular by keeping that same structure and just titrating up and down. So I've obviously been following that through this year, and that's continued to work really well. I had
a total fast.
I eat in the evening, like lean protein and veggies. I was totally fasting. The problem with that was I will sleep for like 4 hours and then wake up like wide awake, ready to, which sometimes is useful if you need to be up super early, but I was getting like 4 hours of sleep a night, and that was the variable that was causing it. As soon as I added in like eating a steak and some vegetables like 2 hours before I go to bed, I can sleep 8-9 hours or whatever, and I get the best of both worlds then. So I had some pretty bad problems with like ulcerative colitis. Like before we moved out here, I was in a hospital a couple of times. You end up like having the cameras down your stomach, into your stomach and stuff, like throwing up blood and all this type of stuff. This has basically eradicated that, because I had problems where anytime I would try to eat enough to actually gain some weight, that my stomach just couldn't handle the volume for very long. I work with Justin Harris, for example. I mean, no discredit to him here, but I couldn't do his style of eating for very long because within a couple of months, I'd be like, dude, I'm having to like drink ice cream to hit my macros, you know? So it's completely eradicated that. And I probably gained more muscle and been leaner on average than I've ever been now doing this diet strategy, which most people would say wouldn't work. But the idea is basically that on the days that you train, you try to match your nutrition to push everything up in terms of anabolism that you can. So carbs are very high, especially around your workouts, et cetera, et cetera. And on the days I don't train, I try to basically pull down everything else to keep my metabolism purposely lower and work on the longevity side of things. So like cyclic AMPK and things like that, which means fasting, little to no carbs, aerobic work and all that type of thing. And that's worked really well.
What about amino acids on the days that you're fasting?
Nope, nothing. Again, I was purposely kind of doing it in a way that it shouldn't work.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, I was like, let's just see what happens. And, you know, in that single meal before I go to bed, I'll get anywhere between like 120, 150 grams of protein. Like that's easy to eat in a sitting for me personally. And also when you've been fasting all day, that's pretty easy to get. And then my training days are like double that though. They're like 250 to 300. And like I said, I probably have better energy. I mean, my blood work is great. I mean, every time I've been to Eric, he just looks and goes, well, what do you want from me? That's literally what he asked me. So I think it's been I'm not saying it's for everyone. What I'm saying is for someone who like wants a bit of everything and just wants like a basic structure that makes it really easy and simple, that works for me. Because on those days I don't train and I fast, I mean, you know, it's like when you've got a lot of work to do, it's actually really nice not to have to think about food. Or if you're traveling and you know, driving somewhere, flying, whatever, you're like, oh, I don't need to eat. It's not a problem. And the absolute worst case scenario, like I don't eat all day and I'm like, oh, I'm somewhere and there's nothing good to eat. I can literally just down a few protein shakes and be done.
Yeah, I've found that. I guess you could say I intermittent fast because I won't eat my first meal until like noon or 1. Sure. And then I'll get up at say 5:30. And my focused work is usually earlier in the morning and I can focus better. Yeah. Without food in my stomach, which if you would have said that 5 years ago, I'd say you're full of shit. But for now, I can't. I don't know if I just had to get used to it or what it was going to be, but that's kind of how I have built the deficit in for myself. Is I didn't purposely do this. It I just kept pushing it back. Then I realized, oh shit, I think I'm kind of intermittent fasting. If I just kick it back a little more, then there's only 2 at most, like 2 meals and a snack. You know, throughout that day. And it's allowed me to keep pulling weight off, you know, slowly year over year.
I mean, I don't think there's anything magic about the fasting. I don't know about yourself, but I find it easier to not eat at all than to think about eating small amounts. Like I'd just rather not eat and then have a meal later on that I enjoy. So like, it's just a tool. I don't think there's anything particularly magic about it when you match the calories up, but for people who are busy or just aren't that driven by food, I think it's a really good option.
Yeah,
for sure.
What about business wise? So we got training business.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I would say it's going to sound really cheesy when I say this, but like, I think this year in general has probably been the best year of my life, like all year round. And, you know, since we moved here to be set up here with you guys, I mean, life has only continued to get better in just about every aspect. There is really nothing that we feel has like gone the other way at all. Like business since we moved here has been great. Never mind like what's actually happening in terms of like client base and all that type of thing. That's wonderful and I appreciate that very much. But also the good thing about being here and working with the demographic that we do now is just that people respect and value it higher. And you know, like money is important. I get that. We're all financially driven to some degree, but it's also really, really nice to feel valued for what you do for people. You know, like couple of years back, we go back and look at the demographic we're working more there, or even just people based in the UK where I think strength, etc., is not valued quite as highly. You just don't get the same feedback, you don't get the same respect, etc., from those that you work with, regardless of your skill set or the effort that you put in. Whereas here, people really do appreciate what you do for them and the results that you get for them. So as wonderful as the increasing client base and everything has been, that for me at least has been the biggest positive, is working with people who, because they put fitness, strength, whatever, higher in their own priority list, then when you help them with it, they appreciate it more and it makes a bigger impact on their life, which who doesn't want to make a positive impact on people's lives? You know what I mean? That's why we do what we do most of the time. So that's been fantastic. The culmination of that to some degree has been Naomi and I launching our website finally, which we did like a week ago. So that's trainkaizen.com. So, you know, we've been very lucky in our career. We've been associated with Christian Thibodeau and now with yourself. Like, we've had these amazing opportunities to work with really, really knowledgeable people, but we've never actually had anything that was about just us, like who we are, what we do or whatever, to the point where people didn't really like know what we do. To some degree, like I still get it now to some degree, like, oh, I listened to you on the tabletop, I didn't know you coach people though, or whatever. So we launched this website, you know, we sell training programs and diet plans on there. We have a thing for online coaching, all that type of stuff, but we just wanted a place finally to be like, oh, this is us, by the way, like on our own, like this is what we do and what we're about. So that was really cool to see finally come to fruition, because, you know, we've kind of ummed and ahed about it for several years, and we didn't want to do it at a time where it came across in the wrong way to people that we were working with, you know, like yourself and Christian. We wanted to do it in a really respectful way that didn't deter from our work for anyone else. But that has been really exciting to just finally have that out there. It feels like a big step for us.
Very cool. Very cool.
What about yourself?
Interesting, because we've talked about my first training goal, which was to 3 times body weight spider bar squat, which I accomplished sooner than I expected. And so that left a gap, right? And so during that gap, I didn't particularly like to train, you know, so I had to force myself to train. And then over the last 6 weeks, purely by accident, I was doing one of the Louis used to lactic acid threshold training. So basically 1.5 times body weight with a safety squat bar or whatever specialty bar. For week 1, I would do 10 sets of 2, then week 2, 12, week 3, 15. And I've always used something like this as a gauge to kind of know where my conditioning was at, which is kind of a shitty gauge, but it works for me. And the first week it was easy. I did like 15 or 20. I'm like, oh, fuck. I thought I was going to get like...
You get gas?
Yeah. So then I came up with this stupid idea to do ascending sets. 1 rep on the first set, 2 reps on the second set, no more than 30 to 90 seconds between sets, and then see how high I could work it up. First week I did 12 and about died. 13 was definitely not possible. Then I was going to try it again the next week, and I was so fucked up after doing it the first time that I was sore till Thursday. So then it had to become like an every other week thing. And so then it was, can I actually make it to 15?
Sure.
Because 15 ends up being like 104 reps.
Yeah.
And so then I tried it again and got to 14 because I wouldn't do 13 because it's unlucky.
Yeah, sure.
And that fucked me up again for like 4 days.
Yeah.
And took the week off. And then last Saturday, I went up to, there's some takeaways here. I went up and I did the 14. Then on the 15, I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to do as many as I can do. Ended up doing 25. Right. So, and
how long did that set last? Like, how much standing there was there? Do you know what I mean? In between the reps where you're like,
not much.
Yeah. Okay.
Not
so
much.
That was
maybe one break at like 5 or 8 or something like that.
You were slacking before.
Kinda. And Rob out here filmed it. So they put it on the Instagram, and I don't film my own shit. And then as soon as I saw it posted, I'm like, oh, fuck. There's no good reason to do this. Like, it's not going to help. The only reason I pushed that last set as far as I could so I could get some effective reps.
Yeah, sure.
Because only the last 3 were really hard. Like, everything else, it's like, it's not good for strength. It's terrible for hypertrophy. There's nothing in here that's actually good. But then I started thinking about it a little bit more, like, what actually is the benefit? Like, because the biggest thing, I didn't get stronger during this time period. The biggest thing that I learned how to do was how to lower my heart rate between sets.
Yeah.
Right. So basically just decompress.
Yeah.
And on the last Saturday, I didn't really leave the carpet that's on the monolift, but twice. And that was like to tighten my belt or whatever it was. I would do the set. I'd put my hands up on the plates. That way I could keep my ribs up, you know, to be able to breathe. Then over the 3 sessions of doing this, I was experimenting with, you know, nasal breathing, slow breathing, like what's the best way to be able to breathe between these sets, to be able to get my heart rate to come down as fast as I possibly could. That way I have more rest, and it won't, I can still get it done within that 2.5, 3 minutes, but be ready to go. Because the first time I did it, I wasn't doing that. You know, like every set was, you know, every set was just being a fucking moron. And then when the set's over with, you're just breathing so hard you can't get it back down. And then when I thought this all through, I'm like, this is an effective way to teach yourself how to deal with stress.
Yeah, for sure.
There's better ways, but it's like right in your face. Like if somebody were to do this, it's not good for strength. It's not good for hyper, put all that out there. But if you're somebody that has a hard time just dealing with stress and you don't know how to breathe to be able to lower that, and you need to kind of test which breathing method is the best to be able to bring it down. This is pretty fucking good because the heart rate's way up. And I found that the nasal breathing was kind of a shitty way to be. I had to start with mouth breathing and then move into nasal breathing.
That's your heart rate.
Yes. And then slow breaths, you know, and in and out, and you figure it out. Let's just put it that way. Cause it's, if you screw it up, you're not going to be ready for the next set. Right. So there is that takeaway benefit, but it was kind of interesting because throughout the year I've played with, you know, just breathing midday, some of the stuff that you put in there. And it seems so stupid, like when you're doing it, because you're not stressed. So you don't know, is this doing shit? You know, if this is doing anything, where that kind of was like a light switch that was like, oh yeah. Now, what if this, now it makes more sense. Like if this is applied, you know, during the regular day. So that was a big takeaway. But my fear when it got posted is like, all these people are going to go try to do this. And there's really no benefit outside of a challenge, which is going to fuck up your training for the next week for most people.
I think an important point you made there, though, is about, like, you know, you say in reference to the breathing, but you can kind of make it more general, is the stuff that you need to do to make you more resilient in times of stress, you're not going to have the mental bandwidth to do when you're already really stressed. Do you know what I mean? If you're already clinging on, clawing yourself through, you don't have the time to get better at meditation or breathing or whatever this stuff might be. You need to prepare your kind of bad day tactics on the good days so that you have them on the bad days. Does that make sense? So thinking about like practicing it when you need it, it's kind of too late. With those sets with the squat, how much did your approach actually within the set change too? Because you mentioned there, obviously, the breathing in between, but was there a change in how you approach the actual squats themselves? Like, did you get better at managing, like, almost using the minimal amount of force that you need? Do you know what I mean? So, like, often it's said that, like, the best way to get good at the combine test is do the combine test, because you learn how to, like, not exhaust yourself. Is that what you were experiencing there?
I learned that a long time ago, though, because it's when we used to do this at Westside, it was basically the same weight, but I weighed more. So it's kind of like body weight at the time. And I would always approach them, because it was on speed day, with as much force as I possibly could, and be done at like 10, maybe 12 sets. And Louis would just keep bucking. That were all sets of 2. And Louis would just keep going and just run his fucking mouth like, you're out of shape, you're out of shape. And after, it took me too long, like after like a year and a half, so like 6 or 7 times, I realized he's not standing up very hard.
Yeah, sure.
You know, he's just standing up with 315 pounds effort. And then I did it that day and smoked his ass. I mean, it was not even close. And so I learned that lesson a long time ago. So I know going into those things, you only apply the force that's actually required to move the weight. It's got to be a little bit more than the weight. You don't want to go super slow, right? Because then it's just going to be more tension, and you're going to get fatigued more. But you certainly don't explode into it. You just.
Would that tactic change if you were doing those sets to actually get maximally strong, though? Or do you think that should be the tactic if someone is doing this type of dynamic?
I wouldn't do ascending sets to get maximum.
Yeah, okay, but even if it's just regular dynamic effort work, right?
Yeah.
Which is, in your opinion, for actual maximal carryover, then should people be doing it with that 100% trying to explode through the floor? They should.
Yeah, if it's going to be 10, like I was doing, but like 10, 15, or whatever it's going to be, they should be.
Sure.
Because I think the goal, the main takeaway is still the same.
Yeah.
How can you lower your heart rate between the sets? You know, what's the best way? Because if you can't lower the heart rate between the sets, if it's at 2 minutes, then you probably are out of fucking shape. You know, and then that won't fix it, you know, but that can be a tool to be able to know you need sled work, you need cardio work, that's why I would put it in every now and again. Like, is this at my baseline to be able to build the strength that I want? If it's over, it's not like I'm going to do less, but if it's over, I'll pull some of that shit. But if it's really, really bad, but if on those I was coasting, then I can hack the system.
Sure.
Then I won't really know. Because when you go back to the real strength work, you are going to be putting maximum force in there, right? And so that's what we're trying to do, is to increase the ability to do a greater density of training. Within it's not stupid. You know, you shouldn't take 10 minutes between sets. You know, anybody should be ready, and outliers excluded, but anybody should be ready within 3 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
There's really no physiological reason why they shouldn't, unless their work capacity and they're just fucking out of shape.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, there's times they'll take more, because if you have a meet, you know, you want to be able to be conditioned to be able to have 15 minutes between. But I still don't think you should train 15 minutes between. You know, which some people do.
No, I actually had a client do that once. I've been working with him for a couple of months, and at one point he turned around, he's like, dude, can we like shorten the sessions or something? Because like they're taking me like 4 hours. And I'm looking at this spreadsheet and I'm like, I don't understand where 4 hours comes from here. Like, can you please, like, what are you? And he's like, well, you know, I take 15 to 20 minutes between all work sets, because that's what it's like at a meet. And I was like, oh man, okay. I mean, the rest periods were written on the spreadsheet, but let's just ignore that. Like, between your curls. Yeah. I'm like, okay, right, okay. Well, this is an easy fix at least, but I find it really interesting that mentality is kind of bled into people's like almost subconscious, where it's like, can't go too soon, or, you know, or there's going to be some kind of decrement there. I'm curious, now that you've had a bit of time to digest it, how are you going to respond to Eric's Serrano comment about you being too light now? What's your nutrition, body weight goal, whatever, moving forward?
My goal going back many years was to be, I didn't really have a body weight in mind. It was just to lose 10, 15 pounds per year over whatever it's going to be. And it's 230 now. If I just stay at 10 pounds next year will be 220, I'll think about it then.
Yeah, sure.
Like anything under 220 in my brain's kind of like a weird thing.
Like, are you a man anymore? Probably.
Yeah, but at the same time, I've lost muscle, which I know, but being 57, almost 58, realistically, how much more of that am I really going to put on?
Yeah, sure.
That aside, because that can be debated, and I can probably fight both sides of that. Do I even care? You know, so now it's like, how much can I really put on it? And I really don't give a fuck about it. And so that kind of gets out there to where next year I'm going to recomp a little bit, and I don't know what that's going to do. Right? Because as soon as I start doing that, pushing the protein up a little bit, changing the training a little bit, there's probably 5 pounds of muscle memory that's going to come back pretty quick. And that could change, you know, so I'm not really tied to that whole number where I was for a while. Let's just chip this down, to be at a body weight that somebody that's 60, you know,
kind of should be.
I mean, you don't see a lot of 60-year-olds or 70-year-olds that are 300 pounds, you know, 15% body fat. There's just not a lot out there. And so I don't really give a fuck about that, you know, from that standpoint. I'll just make sure next time I go in, I'll wear a short sleeve shirt, you know, that will assume my arms, and then he won't think you know, because it's, you get under a certain weight, and then you notice this with bodybuilders a lot of times. If they're wearing a hoodie on, they don't even look that big.
Well, I thought when Haley came out
the
other week, right? Like she was wearing like a loose top, and it's just hilarious. Like she takes that off, and it's almost like her physique comes out of nowhere. If you know, it's crazy. Yeah.
Yes. Where it's, being a power lifter carrying excess body fat, you're always going to look bigger.
Yeah.
With more layers. It's the opposite when you're leaner. So that would just be the trick with that. But the other thing this year that I wanted to work on and fix was the sleep.
Yeah.
Now my deep sleep and REM averages like over an hour, like an hour to an hour and a half, which you helped with that. Merrick helped with that. And that played a role in how my brain functions.
Sure.
Like you don't know that your brain's not functioning at the level it should function at when it's always functioning in mud.
Yeah.
You just become used to it functioning in mud. And so that was one that I didn't know if I was going to be able to rectify. It's just like, fuck it, I'll just take NyQuil and all this other stuff and knock myself out.
Yep.
And kind of go about it that way. But the other thing that happened because of that is instead of waking up at 7:30, I'm waking up at 5:30. I'm going to bed earlier.
Sure.
And my productive work has increased because of those early morning hours. My brain functions better.
Yeah.
Where what I used to do was the earlier part of the day was just like admin, and then the later part of the day would be focused strategic work. And because of brain fog and all this other shit, which I was trying to work on and did help a little bit, I thought, why don't I just flip it? And then when I flipped it, it's like, oh my God, right? And then it didn't matter if I fell asleep earlier because the admin crap I can basically do anytime.
Yeah. And
so that had a big, all these things are like fucking accidental, by the way. It's like you're working on one thing and you don't really understand what the outcome is going to be of that thing. You just know that thing's not right.
Yeah.
Like 10 minutes of REM's not good. Right.
I think 4 was the lowest you showed me.
Yeah. And then when it goes the other way, you see how much difference it makes overall.
Yeah.
Where, and all the other blood markers except 2, have been rectified over the year, where the last few years have been a shit show, but business is always a shit show. So if it's not one thing, there's always fucking something. But this year was a bigger shit show than most. And when your brain doesn't operate effectively and we've migrated everything, back end, front end, store, all this kind of stuff. When it's not working, it's so much harder to get the work done because you're trying to focus when you can't really focus, but you still have to do it.
Yeah.
And so it becomes frustrating and the breathing, the meditate, all that other kind of shit. You don't want to do it, but you probably should. But all that kind of got rectified, because of all that. And there's still things in the business that have to progress and move forward, but it's kind of like training. And I've been doing this shit for almost 30 years now. And there's a base. You can't fire a cannon from a canoe, right? If the canoe's got a bunch of fucking holes and it keeps sinking, I just keep fucking firing.
Yeah.
Right. And it just keeps knocking it down. But every probably 5 or 6 years, you got to rebuild the fucking canoe.
Yeah. Sure.
Sometimes you just got to buy a new one, and be able to put that in there. Then once you build that base, then you can start traveling again. What you don't realize while you're doing it, and this is to any entrepreneur that's out there, is you're going to just keep firing shit from this canoe because firing stuff feels good. It's like, boom, you get the blast, you see the thing fucking take off, and you don't realize that maybe you do, that there's water under your feet and it's working up your ankles and it's getting to like your calf. You just keep firing shit because that's what you do, and you don't realize that sometimes you just need to fucking fix the boat. Sure. And that's a process. It's a long process and one that takes a lot of time and a lot of work to be able to do, but that's just kind of how it works. Sure. And we are able to fix the boat, so now we can travel.
Sure. So do you feel confident about 2026 from a business perspective, considering all the groundwork that's been done this year?
Because we can now do things to actually grow.
Sure.
Whereas before, so much time was spent on keeping this fucking holes. You fix one hole. You fix one hole. Boom, here goes another one. You fix one hole. Boom, there goes another one. And you fix all these things that just keeps fucking blowing up all over the place. And you have to do that because even with a new canoe or a new boat, there's still going to be fucking holes. They're still going to be bursting and they have to be fixed. But now it's not going to, now we don't have to have all of our time doing that, you know, where that's kind of what it was every fucking thing. All the time was spent doing that. And there might've been a fraction, like 10% that's actually working on something that can scale and that can grow. Now it's, if I'm the forecast forward, like 10% is going to be like fixing the holes. Sure. Could be wrong because, you know, shit happens, but it's not going to be like what that was. Perfect. It's just, so I'm excited for that. Fucking thank God. Yeah.
Well, it's also more rewarding for you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you're putting your efforts into growth rather than like putting out fires constantly.
Yeah. And well, the other thing with that, and lessons are different as you get older, is when all you're doing is putting out fires, once one fire's out, you're immediately thinking about the next one that has to go out, and then the next one that has to go out. And it's always going to be burning no matter what. And once my brain started functioning normal, you know, which I didn't know it could, once it started functioning normal, then I started to learn there's time between these fires. Yeah. Even if it's like an hour or a half hour, to actually kind of like live life during that time and not worry about the next fucking fire, because you just go from one thing to one thing to one thing to one thing, and then 6 months fucking goes by. You're like, I haven't done anything I fucking like.
Yeah, sure.
Nothing. I mean, I like the business stuff, but nothing, you know. So you realize your life is just fucking burning away. Yeah. And a lot of it isn't because of the work that you're doing. It's the work that you're anticipating that you have to get back to instead of just putting it away and just fucking focusing on
something else,
Golden Girls or some shit, you know, just anything else.
Great reference.
You know, just anything. And, you know, so being reminded of that kind of happened this year as well, because it's a trap. And I think we can all kind of get caught up in that. I think pro athletes, everybody gets caught up in that, where they'll be focusing on this next game. Then as soon as that game's over, it's right back focusing into the next one, and never taking time to just kind of separate and say, you know, I got an hour. I don't have to think about these things. Yeah. And then turning the brain into something else and not feeling guilty about it. Yeah. You know, and you can. Because if you're not thinking about it, you think you're fucking lazy. Yeah. And it's still got to get the work done.
Yeah. I suppose the question in those scenarios, like, you have to kind of look at yourself and say, all the time you spent anticipating fires that may or may not happen, how many times were you actually able to action something that stopped a fire from happening? Like, probably never, right? Because there could be a million things that happen. The chance of you guessing the right one is infinitesimally small, and then the chance that you guess the right strategy to stop that one thing is, so you're just wasting time, never actually being productive. But I'm glad you've noticed that.
All right, so we're going to get into the 7 deadly sins of training. This was an article that I wrote that wasn't very lengthy, because every one of these is like, it depends. And the way that I look at a lot of these things now would be different than the way I would look at them 30 years ago. The first one would be pride, you know, which is ego lifting, which everybody's going to relate to this one. There's a time and a place for it, but it's a lot less than people think. My older self would say there's actually no time and place for it. Yeah. But my younger self would realize that there kind of is, you know, with that, and because it will fuck up your progress. Yes. But if you don't have an ego,
you'd never attempt anything. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, okay, this is going to this will trigger a lot of people, so I'm going to say it because it'll be funny. If you're looking at, like, when we say ego lifting, we implicitly know it's negative, right? Like, so we all know it's not a great thing to start with, but I suppose in many ways it's really like a representation of, like, immaturity. And what I mean by that is like, you can generally define maturity as the ability to sacrifice kind of what you want here and now for something in the future. And like, as you mature, you get better at projecting forward and you value the future more. So you're willing to sacrifice more now for whatever the future is. And we kind of know that ego lifting is this thing that kind of makes us feel hopefully a little bit better right now, but costs us later on. Otherwise, we wouldn't call it ego lifting. We just call it hitting a PR or whatever. Yeah. So I think it's something that athletes should grow out of in that regard, because over time they will realize that when they're doing like ego lifting at its extreme becomes maxing out every session, right? That's like if you were to polarize it, we know that gets you a little bit in the short term, but it gets you a lot of bad in the long term. So as an athlete is progressing through their career, they should become better at projecting forward and understanding the path that they're on and the training program and the grander structure, which means then they become more aware of what they're sacrificing when they do the ego lift now.
Yes.
So I would say if your ego lifting doesn't decrease over time, you're not maturing as an athlete or learning about the process to the point where you should realize over time that it's not a worthwhile trade-off.
One thing Paul Childress said to me back when he was still competing in the WPOs, he's passed now, this is what really kind of drove it home. I was already done competing at this time, which really didn't yield any rewards for me except for being able to pass it on to other people, is there were 2 years I know explicitly from speaking to him, he would tell me, as he was peaking for the meet, that not peaking, but 6 weeks out, I'm too far ahead. I have to back off. Right. And the first time I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, right now I'm where I should be 3 weeks from now.
Sure.
He said he said that if I project this out and was to make the assumption that this is where I am 6 weeks out and I just keep progressing based upon what this is, I'm 100 pounds over what my best would possibly be. We both know that's not realistic. Yeah. So things are clicking right now. They're right where they need to be. I just need to pull back. And by pulling back, it was just chopping the work sets just a little bit, taking a rep or two off the top set, going a little bit lighter than what it would typically be, and then just allow it to kind of come right back to where it needed to be so he could peak for that. And I would see other people that would be in that same boat. It could be anabolics. It could be just the strength is not linear. It goes in these stair step type things. Other people, they're like, oh shit, everything's clicking, I'm here. And then 3 weeks later, boom, something tears off or they have some injury or it doesn't, it leads to a shitty meet where at that time he was the only one that was saying things like that. And then after a few more years, more and more people started to say the same thing because they saw him as that example. Sure. It's like they got it, right? And that's what happens because the ego lifting basically will happen because things feel better than what they typically would. Yeah. Right? Nobody's going to ego lift when they feel bad, right? And they don't project out. Like if this actually was a new baseline, where would this be in 3 weeks? Sure. And I think if they just did that and they saw what that number was, they'd be like, oh, fuck. I can't do that for 5. I can't even do it for a single right now. Yeah. Then they would see, how that plays into that.
Sure. I think that there's probably a lot of training or life problems even that can be solved to some degree with like that test of like iterability, where like if you were to project this out on a monthly basis for a year, would that actually be someone's doing 5-3-1, they're like, I want to add X amount to my training max every month. You're like, okay, what does that look like in 6, 12, 18, 24 months? Like, oh, you're an all-time world record holder in 24 months from a beginner. Yeah. That's probably not a strategy that's going to work, right? So I think that, again, you could probably argue that at its core, ego lifting is, again, having too short-term of a mental approach versus a long-term, or almost like trying to derive unearned progress.
Yeah.
Like you haven't, that lift you could make today would probably be ugly as sin and require whatever else, but that's the thing that you probably actually need to work another 6, 8, whatever weeks for. You just want it now. So here we are. And again, I would like to think that people grow out of that as time goes on, but
yes,
not always the case.
The next one we see, not so much with the top lifters, but that would be just greed.
Mm-hmm.
And by that, I mean too many goals at the same time.
Sure.
Where if I went back through this year, like the sleep was just one goal that was being focused on at one time. You know, it wasn't like trying to fix all these other things at that same time. It's just peeling it back to one, maybe two things to be able to just focus on there. Where, I mean, the most ludicrous example is somebody wants to put on 20 pounds and lose 10% body fat, which I think everybody's kind of over that.
Sure.
But sometimes it could be as simple as they want to push their squat, bench, and deadlift during the same phase.
Sure.
And I personally don't think that's realistic.
That's
it can happen.
Sure.
But it shouldn't be the focus.
Yeah, I get you.
Right? Because if you start peeling back the weak points and the areas that need to be worked on for each one of those lifts, how are you going to structure that?
Yeah. Like where does all that work fit in?
Yeah, then you're going to put in cardio or all this other kind of stuff that then you're overreaching without even knowing it.
Do you think a lot of the time though that can stem back to people underestimate what achieving any one of these things actually takes? So I mean, it's like getting brutally strong is extremely hard and takes a long time. Getting really muscular, really hard, getting really conditioned or really lean, like there's a reason people don't walk around at 8% body fat most of the time, right? So do you think like subconsciously people just underestimate what actually goes into those accomplishments, and then because of that they think, oh, I can do X and Y at the same time?
Partially. I think what they don't realize is there's going to be subheadings under every heading. So if you want to push your squat triple, there's going to be other things that are going to rise just because of that.
Yeah.
Right. So those other things that rise up, they don't factor in, because those other things that may rise up because of that, maybe some other stupid goal that they have, which this is going to take care of that.
Yeah. Sure.
Right. So then that just adds more work on that, where trying to get lean and trying to get strong is a good example.
Yeah.
Right. When that's what I want. That's my goal. I want both of those things. If you just focus on trying to get lean over a slow period of time, you're probably going to get stronger as that time goes on. Until the deficit becomes, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
But when you're focusing on both, you see it.
You're trying to force the issue.
Yeah. So you're building this program, for this strength and all this other kind of stuff, and all this nuance that's underneath there. This one thing's taking care of all these sub things, but they don't look at what the subheadings are.
Yeah, sure.
And so everything becomes a heading. Right? That's shitty to read an article that's just got all headings, right?
Yeah. I think sometimes as well, I'm not sure if it's laziness or people just don't know, but I think people just aren't willing to prioritize. They're not maybe willing to accept the fact that not everything can be a heading. Not everything can be priority one. Like there has to be this kind of priority. There has to be this hierarchy of like, yes, whoever got in the gym and wanted one thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one ever said, like, I just want to be brutally strong. I don't care if I have zero muscle, 100% body fat, feel like shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, we all want some other things to some varying degree. And we need to be able to put this in a hierarchy where, like, yes, the most important thing is the most important thing. But then where do all these other things lie? And then we have to be confident enough in our own priority list that, like, okay, this thing is right at the bottom. Well, that probably means it's okay if it maybe degrades a little bit or doesn't get a lot of attention for whatever period of time is needed for that, because it isn't priority one. Like not everything can be. And I think maybe that's something people struggle with, or they just never sit down and do like I want X, Y, and Z, but which one's actually the most important of X, Y, and Z?
Yeah. Well, I think the priorities aren't defined very well either. So if I want to be more athletic. The fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
I want to be more functional, or I want to be stronger. Sure. Like in what?
Yes.
Like absolutely. More athletic is how, right? But that will be like the goal of their training. I'm doing this next program so I can feel like the athlete I used to be in high school. Well, first off, you're fucking not 18 or 16 anymore. Yeah. But what is that? You say, what does it mean?
Yeah.
Because that's a big scope. Like 40 time vertical jump, broad jump. Like what? Yeah. What do you? Because if you try to increase all of those, it's not going to happen. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And I ask people that all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's a big one right now. Is it's not really function. It's I want to train like an athlete.
Yeah.
Like which athlete?
Like a pickleball athlete or a sprinter or a sumo wrestler? Like which one? And even the term stronger, like you said, in stronger in what? Like strength is task specific, but then you could even say stronger in what time frame? Because like we could all go like full Bulgarian approach and squat every day for the next 3 weeks and probably PR our squat if we're smart about it. But like, do we want to be stronger in 3 weeks and then have to deload and take a step back? Or do we want to be stronger 6, 12, 18? Like that's why I hate the term optimal in training, because it's like, well, optimal for what? Because like the thing that's optimal for the biggest squat in 4 weeks is drastically different to the training that's optimal for the biggest squat in 12 months or 24 months. Like, what are we talking about here? And maybe you're right. People aren't defining, even if they do have a priority list, maybe those priorities aren't even defined properly. It's just, stronger sounds like, who doesn't want to be stronger? Who doesn't want to be more athletic? What does that entail? Because then how do you know the path? You know the destination or whatever. So that's very well said.
The next one would be wrath. Training out of anger. Yeah, which is like all these I violated the fuck out of. But
that means you have grounds to talk about them, though.
Yeah. Where this has its time and place again, but the biggest problem with that is you're just draining your energy tank.
Sure.
Like. Is it worth that one set to fuck up the whole next week?
Sure.
That comes after that. And when you project it out again, kind of like the ego lifting, like how do you build off that? Because you're going to have to train with anger the next time, train with anger the next time, train with anger the next time. And I get a lot of people use that, it's kind of that outlet. And I get all that, but it doesn't have to be full tilt, 10, because I've had some people on the podcast that once they realized it was okay to do that, everything went up.
Sure.
And the question is, well, what happens when
you're not angry?
You're not angry.
Yeah.
Right? Or how much angrier are you going to have to be able to get?
Yeah, for sure. I think in that scenario, I guess, sound too philosophical, I'm sure, but like, are you harnessing the anger, or is it harnessing you? I guess, like, are you just going in the gym like a bull in the china shop and just say fuck it, like just skip half your warm-ups, all that shit, lift far too heavy or whatever? Or are you saying like, well, this is the training that needs to be done to get me better, which is why I'm in the gym, I presume. Now I'm going to use whatever emotional state I'm in to like just heighten the effort that I put into the thing I'm already supposed to be doing, because those two things are quite different, right? Like we can probably agree that it's quite rare we make very good decisions in highly emotional states.
Yeah.
Like so emotional lifters probably don't make good choices for their long-term progression, at least. So if we can take the decision, if we say, what if the decision were to happen first? Like, here's what I'm going to do. And then we let the emotion kind of have its way.
Yes.
And heighten the thing that maybe at least then it's going into something that we know is productive, as opposed to like, well, I'm just going to do 50 sets of 2 on my dynamic effort work because I'm pissed off and I just want to be tired. It's like, I get it. I've been there. I've done it plenty. Like, my training was powered purely by self-loathing for many, many years, right? But like, that is also, I would say, ingraining a habit where like you allow your emotion to dictate the thing that you're doing, which if you're going in the gym really pissed off, it's probably fair to assume that same anger has probably already ruined something else. Like your day at work, you're arguing with your wife or whatever. And now you're coming to the gym because that's your thing, that's your solace, that's your whatever. Now you're letting it pollute that too. So is it actually a good thing? Or is it just another example of you've allowed it to taint this, and now you're allowing it to taint this? So I get there's a time and a place for like heightened emotions, all that type of thing. It does wonderful things for your performance in the short term. Like, who hasn't hit a PR because they're hyped up, right? But are you ingraining a habit where you become dependent on it and you become more of a slave to it rather than like using it to your benefit? I suppose.
Well, the using it is, I'm all for it, right? Mm-hmm. But you have to be able to use it within the window that is the most productive.
Yes.
Where driving to the gym pissed off, mm-hmm. you know, with road rage and all this other kind of shit, and just pissed from the time you leave the house to the time you get to the gym, all your warm-ups and all that, and they'll say they're doing it to be able to take the anger out so they don't mm-hmm. take it out on other people and so forth. If you can learn how to just take it out in the 20 to 45 seconds mm-hmm. that's required for the top set, it's done. Mm-hmm. You know, it's taken out, but yet you don't have to pay the price for the increased mm-hmm. cortisol throughout that mm-hmm. whole period of time, which is it's still going to go way through the roof, but it's going to go way through the roof for a shorter period of time. And you still took it out mm-hmm. where that was the mistake that I made mm-hmm. long ago, is you stay. It's like you have halotestin brain, you know, for hours. Yeah. And then most of the time, I would say 50-50, mm-hmm. it won't be there when you need it. Yeah. It's like, oh, great. It was there with that fucker that didn't see just sat at the stop sign for a minute longer than they should have. Yeah. You know, it was there for all the mm-hmm. idiot that slammed the door when you came into the gym. But now, you know, it wasn't there when you needed it. I wonder why. Yeah. You know, because you fucking burned it all out.
Yeah, sure. Why would, now that you're better at that, should we say, how exhausting was it doing it that way? Do you know what I mean? Like, by the time you do finish your workout, like, oh, you're no longer pissed off, so you rev yourself up again and so on and so forth. And then by the time you finally finish that workout, like, there must be a pretty extreme, like, state of exhaustion. You're trying to ride that wave all day.
You're shot. Yeah. And just cooked, mm-hmm. you know, so you can't get nothing else done the rest of the day, sure. and all those other things of that. Next on the list is lust, chasing the shiny things.
Ooh, okay.
Actually, no, I think I skipped envy.
You did skip envy.
Yeah, envy.
Do they have?
Envy's a big one though, mm-hmm. because people are comparing themselves to others.
Yes.
And I get it. You know, we all kind of do, but it's a bad trap.
Yes.
Really bad trap.
I think even when you think about envy though, my question would be, do you want the thing that person has, or do you want the thing you think that person has? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, typical example would be like, you pull up at a stoplight and then next to you is like some guy in a Ferrari with like a woman in his passenger seat or whatever, and you're like, man, wouldn't that be great? But then you realize that like the Ferrari's a lease because he's not actually that well off. Like, the lady in the passenger seat is an escort, and like he's mm-hmm. doing these things because he's fucking miserable because his wife divorced. You know what I mean? Like, what it looks like on the surface versus what it's like under the hood is very, very different. And also what actually went into getting the thing is very different. Like I think a really cool example of this was when we were at the Pro-Am, Jimmy Kolb was there, who's, you know, super, super nice guy. And I'm lucky enough to talk to him regularly and getting quite close to him. And he came up and he shook my hand. As he reached out his hand to shake my hand, I just grabbed it and looked at it. I was like, did you bench yesterday? Because like it was like black here, like down to like halfway down his forearm, and his forearm's huge. And I was like, did you bench yesterday? He's like, no, that's 5 or 6 days old. Like, this was Saturday, and I think he had benched like the previous Sunday. And I kind of was like, if that's what that's like now, what was that like Monday, for example? And he was like, yeah, you know, whenever I go above, insert ridiculous number here, like 1,200 or 1,300, my forearms will look like this for like a week or two when I have to like purposely dial up my training then, because he could barely like close his hand. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm like, benching 1,200 does sound really cool, but like not being able to shake someone's hand for 2 weeks because of the stress fractures and the bleeding that happens inside, like, are we all really willing to deal with that? Probably not. I mean, when he came out here, and I don't mean to keep using this as an example, but it's an interesting one. I think he benched like 13 something for a double, and you know, Kate had to literally pull him off the bench and give him an oxygen mask because his back was blue. I've never seen someone actually turn blue from a set. It's like, now I know this is an extreme example, but that's a great one of like, you look at the tip of the iceberg, like that thing, you're like, that is amazing. I would love to do that. And you're like, go talk to him about how he feels for like 3 days after he does that lift, or even just the moments after. Even it's like, for him, it's worth the trade-off, and it's admirable and incredible in so many ways. But do you really want that too, or do you just want that bit? Would be the question I have. And I wonder if we all knew what actually went into the thing we're envious of, would we choose it?
Most no. I mean, I can parlay this into, all the entrepreneur, posts and shit that I'll see where when I do scroll through Instagram, most of my feed is trying to convince people that their job sucks and they should, go into business for themselves and make $30,000 a month, which I'm just rolling my fucking eyes like, this is just complete bullshit.
Sign me up.
Yeah. And, and a lot of it will be around this, they don't like their 32 to 40 hours a week. So they want to start their own thing. So that way they don't have to work, as much. And it's like, I don't know a single entrepreneur or a single business owner that works less than 60, 70 hours a week and thinks about the business all the rest of the time. Yeah. It's all, I just talked earlier about how I got to carve out time to just not think about, but that's just not thinking about the fires. You're preoccupied. Do they really want that? Right? Because I know a lot of business owners are like, fuck, man, I wish I could just work someplace else. And then when I leave, just leave. Yeah. But you have to be built for it. And that's with everything. Right? So they'll see, Jimmy Kolb, and they just see the shiny thing. Yeah. Sure. Like, I want the shiny thing. But the funny thing is they want like 5 other shiny things too. Yeah. It's like there's a whole downstream thing of this shiny thing that pretty much sucks. Yeah. That's just what people don't like is the consistency of just boring shit over and over again, which blows my mind when it comes to people that train. Yeah. Because most of what you do is consistent, boring shit. Yeah. But you only remember the top set of your last workout. You don't think of the other 100 reps that you did with all the other boring shit that compiles over the year, which is like 9. And they don't think that's the same. Yeah. And anything else that you do, you'll see this career, like, this looks like the greatest career. And like, well, you're seeing like the 5% that's cool. You're not seeing the 95% that just is boring daily grind shit. Yeah, absolutely. And it's easy, right? Because you see that, and it would be great, but it doesn't work like that. Sure. Life doesn't work like that. A lot of people just need to fucking wake up and get that. Plus, there's no guarantee. Like, you could buy into, I want to be like Jimmy Kolb, and then do all those things that he does. Or, I want to have my own business and do all the right things. There's still no guarantee. Absolutely. You can do all the right things and fucking fail, right? And then have to go do it over again. Yeah. Right? Yeah. For sure. And over and over and over. And that's so frustrating to me with the people that train. Yeah, sure. Because they know this. They do it all the time. Yeah.
Do you think a better question in that scenario then would be not what do you want or what are you coveting, but what are you willing to sacrifice and actually have zero guarantee it will do anything? Yeah. Because that's basically what you're doing, right? Like, you start business. Yeah. You put 70 hours in a week, and at no point are you guaranteed this. No. And, there have been plenty of times where you're probably looking at this going, well, this could go under in a moment's notice. Do you know what I mean?
Every year.
Don Saladino came out and he was talking about them being like $2 million in debt and stuff like that. Like, what are you willing to give up now and then potentially have it just been pissed away in the wind, so to speak, because you still did everything right, inverted commas, but that doesn't actually give you anything for certain. I think that's the sucky part, right? Because like you can't guarantee any form of success, but then there is no form of success that doesn't come without the sacrifice in the start anyway. So choose your suck or choose your suffer or whatever.
And that's why you have to learn how to manage the time in between those sucky things, because it can just go, you know. And this kind of ties into the lust thing, which is probably kind of why I skipped over, because it's in a way the same type of thing. You know, we're going after that cool shiny thing, or jumping from program to program, and that's a big one too. Jumping from coach to coach, which is a big one, more so now than ever before in history, because the answer is always in the coach, you know. And it's no, you still have to do the work.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if there's a coach out there, someone who can do your lifts for you and eat your food, like, they're going to be a millionaire, right? And I think when we're looking at like program hopping or coach hopping or anything like that, I think a lot of it comes down to the person is not obviously fully confident in the thing that they're doing already. So this kind of creates this self-fulfilling prophecy where, because I'm not fully bought in, I don't fully commit and apply the prerequisite effort that would probably be needed for it to be successful. Ergo, it kind of doesn't work very well. My suspicion is confirmed. I can now go swap to the next thing, you know. But I think if you truly committed and were confident in whatever the thing is that you were doing, you wouldn't be looking elsewhere in the first place. Like when I was at the Shaolin Temple, one of the masters there came out with a great phrase, purely because it was so unexpected from this type of person, but they basically said, your goal is to replace FOMO with JOMO, which is fear of missing out with joy of missing out. Whereas like if you have cottoned on to a training program or a coach that you're fully invested in and fully confident in, you can look at everything else that's out there and be, cool, not for me. Do you know what I mean? Like there's, because nothing in your head, at least at that point, anything that's out here is probably not better than the thing you're already doing. But I do wonder how many people actually commit truly, mentally and physically, to the thing that they're doing right now, so they can even make the judgment in the first case that it's working or not. Do you understand what I'm like? In your experience, do you think a lot of this program hopping is just done because they're just looking for the magic program that does it for them? As in, like, I don't have to put in the 100%?
It's kind of like the person, if I'm looking through a resume and I see that somebody's had 10 jobs in 10 years, right? It's not the job, it's the person.
Yes.
Right. So it's the same type of thing. If somebody's burned through, 5 coaches in 5 years, I kind of know what the problem is.
Sure.
It's pretty obvious what that is. And so until they realize that, because it's the whole training thing, I still am going to default to this top tier is learning how to auto-regulate every aspect of the training. And, a good coach is going to be able to help that person learn how to do that. And until that's done, then the communication with that coach isn't going to be optimal.
Yes.
And it takes time to build the communication in the first place, to be able to have the trust to actually say what you think's going on, and or for the coach to be able to figure out this person's full of shit, and that ability is, I've spoken to so many lifters now across so many disciplines that, honest to God, they don't know shit about training. They have a coach that's beyond to help them with all that. But every single one of them knows during the training session, it's not there. I gotta back down. Yeah. Right. Or they know how to control the variables, or at least send a text, right? This doesn't feel right. Yeah. Text the coach, make the adjustments to be able to go there. And when somebody's just hopping, they're never going to build that skill. Where, the old fucker in me would go back and say, these people they've never gone through the phase of, fuck it, find out. you know, just figure it out. And because of that, they miss a lot. They may move forward faster, right? Because the plan's going to be better, but eventually that's still going to catch up. Where if the sooner they learn that, the better the communication, everything else is going to be, because all this is, once there's a solid plan, which is, I mean, you can't have a shitty plan. Our definition of a shitty plan. It's the best plan can go south, and the worst plan can go very, very well. It's just how you manipulate it. Right? It's the business is the same thing. It's everything can be going smooth, and then something's fucked up, and you got to be able to manipulate it. Then you become so good, you know how to manipulate it before it even happens, because it's happened so many times. You see it coming. It's like, this one's going to come, so I'm going to go this route. Then bam, something else happens. That's all it is. It's one fire after another fire. You got to be able to navigate all that, and you got to inherently kind of know when those moves happen. And a coach can't know when those moves are going to happen. They can help you to know when to pivot from those. The longer you're with them, they'll start to know this is your pattern. This is what's going to happen. And not even have to tell the person, let's pivot this way. Right? But the communication's still huge.
And that's, I mean, even just from the pure standpoint of, there are things, and I think it was Andrew Coates we had this conversation with, where there are things you can say to a client 6-12 months into the process that you absolutely cannot say to them after 1 month. Like, they don't know you enough, they don't trust you enough. It takes a certain amount of time for them to trust you enough for you to actually call them out on their bullshit. And if you never get to that point, and I would argue you never actually get coached, you just get the pleasantries. And then if we look at it from like a workout or a training perspective, like if you boil down like program hopping to the really micro level, it would be akin to like, I'm going to do split squats because I need to work on my quads or whatever, and then doing them for one workout and be like, I'm taking them out because my quads aren't bigger. It's like, you looked like Bambi on ice for a start, so you didn't do the thing properly, and then you're taking it out before you've even had a chance to actually reap the benefits from it. And you know, a lot of the time when people are program hopping, they're not going from program A to like program A.1. They're going from like program A to program Y. It's so different. It's completely different training philosophy and universe, because, well, otherwise it's not novel and interesting, right? But the thing is, like, you've ducked out of here before you've even gotten the benefits or even begun to understand how it works and maybe what parts work and what parts don't. And now you've gone so far away that there's really no correlation or like crosstalk between them where you can say, oh, well, this worked over here. Maybe this I can apply. So you end up chasing your own tail endlessly. Whereas like if you were doing it intelligently, you might go, well, I'm a little bit bored or something's a bit stale. I'm going to just deviate enough that I still know where I'm at, but there's enough new variables introduced that I can spur something new, whether it's good or bad.
What's interesting with that is the athlete will always change the thing that's working, not the thing that's not working. Right? Because that's the thing that they I don't even know if they know, right? But later they'll know that thing is what's holding them back. But it's the one thing that they don't want to buy into because it's the most inconvenient, right? And where it's easier to change the thing that they really like and think that's going to elicit a different result. You know, they sleep for shit or whatever, and they always sleep for shit. And that probably isn't enough because they sleep and eat for shit, right? So, because I know people that sleep for shit that still get strong as fuck. So you compile those two, but they want to change the program, and they keep going through all these programs and nothing's ever working because they don't want to change the thing that's really fucked up. They eat and sleep like shit, so they can't recover from what they're doing unless they stumble across a program that's just so ridiculously low in volume and work. And this happens. You know, and then they start to make progress and they think that was the great thing. And it's just, no, it's just now at this level that meets, you know, your ability to recover. Which imagine if you could increase your ability to recover, what this could really be.
I suppose in that context, you could probably make the argument then, the fact that the thing is shiny in the first place tells you it's probably not the thing you need to
bullshit.
Change. If it's the thing that's dull and boring and hard and you resist, then it's probably the thing you should be doing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think we all know that.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want people to feel bad because we'll all see that shiny thing. And in our brain, we're like, oh, that looks cool.
Yeah.
And then no, wait a minute. That's too good to be true. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
Move on to the next one. Oh, this looks really fucking hard. Oh, I don't want to do that. You know, so we all think this way.
Sure.
You know, it's just understanding how we think and kind of manipulating that. Gluttony would be the next one. Where, man, this is in the strength world, I don't see it as being a more volume thing, but I do see it a more milligrams thing. I do see it shitty food thing.
Yeah.
In some cases, I see it as the extra workout thing, you know, that they don't really need, the recovery workouts, which crack me up.
Which become whole workouts themselves.
Yeah. Like, what is a recovery work? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
But the more is better, which is kind of a mindset you have to have when it's controlled.
I'd argue the mindset you'd need is more results is better. not necessarily more of the thing, if that makes sense. You know, I suppose that, and this is really common, I guess, like at some level, sometimes people genuinely need to ask themselves, like, are you just addicted to the thing? In whatever, maybe not the medical strict term of addiction, but like, do you just train more because you want to justify training more because you enjoy it or because everything else outside the gym is shitty? Like, do you just like binging on Wendy's and now you're just trying to justify it being like, I have to gain a pound a week to get stronger? You know, or, you know, are you addicted to your PEDs? Like, because they can, to some degree, lower the amount of effort you might have to make in other areas to get the results that you want. And I think, you know, you think sometimes people need to sit down and look at their relationship with all of these things and be like, am I actually using them objectively to get towards whatever the end goal thing over here is? Like, no one's end goal is like, I want to be permanently dehydrated and angry all the time, therefore I'm going to take 2 grams of Tren. Like, no one's ever had that end goal. It's going to be like, I want to be stronger, I want to get to my meet and hit a PR, whatever. Like, so like, is it actually getting you closer to that thing now, or is it actually pulling you away and you're just hoping that like there's this weird middle ground where this amount was helpful, the amount I'm taking now is actually detrimental, but definitely if I go up more, I'll come up on this other upward curve that now it's going to be beneficial again. And it sounds so dumb when you say it out loud and you kind of put it on the table like this, so to speak, but we all do it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just, you have to like pull back and think, is the goal, and like, is this thing now pulling me towards it or pulling me away from it, I guess. And if we look at that from like a training element, I mean, you have more experience here than I do, but if we're talking about a reasonably advanced, hardworking individual, it's genuinely hard to undertrain them, I think. Well,
I think it's to flip a business example, you have 2 screens. The one screen's your email. You got 100 unanswered emails. The other screen is the project that you have to get done, right? You sit down, right? You know you have to get that project done, but your brain isn't ready to lean into that project. So you go over here, you know, and you start answering all the emails, and then 3 hours go by, project still isn't done. The project's what's going to move your company forward. The emails could be done really at any time, you know, from that standpoint. So it's, and more people are going to go here, you know, or to the third screen, which is some social media shit or Netflix or whatever. The project's still there. It still has to get done. You know, fuck it, I'll just do it tomorrow. I'll make it top priority tomorrow. You know, finish all the fucking emails and watch the Netflix or whatever it's going to be. Tomorrow comes around, same scenario. You sit down, it's like, fuck, I got to answer this email. Project doesn't get done for week, month, whatever it's going to be. And the training, the project is the shit that you have to do to get better. You know, the accessories and all the other kind of crap that you're talking about is this stuff that's over here. It's learning how to just turn those off and just do this. And then when your brain shuts down from working on that, because you can't work straight. And 2 hours, it's like, okay, fuck it, my brain's shot.
Yeah.
It's over here. Yeah. And then, back over there. It's the same thing, and we've all been guilty of doing it. It's way easier to do all the other kind of stuff instead of doing the things that you actually have to do. Because the reason why you have to do those things is because they've resulted in becoming a weak point, because you suck at them, because you don't do them.
Yes.
It's right.
Yeah, for sure.
And so the cycle just continues and continues and continues. But the gluttony comes over here because this is satisfactory. I answered that email. Click, 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 to-do list, click, 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 click. This is still one item on a to-do list. This is 10.
Yeah, sure.
I got 90% of my list done. Ugh.
Yeah, sure.
Same thing.
Do you think in a lot of these scenarios as well, people maybe kind of struggle with this because they just don't understand what a good rate of progress in anything is. You could do absolutely everything right in the next 12 months. Elite FTS is not going to triple its gross its profit or whatever, right? That year on year, probably staying on 0 is fucking good, and 1 or 2% is great, and anything above that is biblical. And it's the same in the gym or with the diet or whatever. This gluttony, do you think it comes from the fact that I'm progressing at X rate now and that's great, but I reckon I can get 2X if I do this, when actually physiologically speaking 2X doesn't exist?
Yeah.
And do you think then they kind of just need, I don't want to say knock down their confidence, but you need to reframe what good progress looks like? Because it's actually really more mundane than
you can get really, really full eating 5 bags of chips, right? And have no nutritional value.
Yeah, sure.
Or you can eat a solid meal and have nutritional value, right? It's what has more, if we're looking at macro and vitamins and minerals, if we're looking at the whole nutritional profile, which one has a better nutritional profile? It's fucking obvious, right? And so I think it's, not training is weird, man, because the rate of progress is so fast when you start. You get tricked.
Yeah.
Right. And then you think, and you don't realize that after a certain period of time, just getting back to where you were. If there's an off season, there's no guarantee there. And that's work just to get back there, to be able to get maybe 0.5% stronger. You play the game long enough, just getting back to where you were and putting all the best together it's a different game. A top lifter, it's just a matter of, can they put their best lifts together on the same day without even getting stronger? Yeah. Can they just come back the next year at the same strength and put it together in the right way? Right? That's a different game. Yes. They got to understand, this is your point, they got to understand this is a different game, because the best way to put those together is to go in the least fucked up. Yeah. The least fucked up, the better opportunity. But if they don't know that's the game they're playing, they're going to think, I need to get 5% stronger on everything. That way, those numbers are going to be easier. And then, but they're saying they're playing the game of death. They're just going to fade away. They're going to burn out. Sloth. Half-ass consistency. Sure. I think most of the people that listen to this podcast are consistent with their training, but they're not consistent with the things that they need to do. Yes.
My first thought when I read that one was, I think it's probably unrealistic for everyone to be consistent on everything that they need to do all the time. We have so much willpower or whatever, or time even. But I think the problem with sloth, or this consistency dilemma, really lies in the fact that people are the least consistent with the thing that they need to do the most, and the most consistent with the thing that's probably already relatively overperforming. Your training has been dialed in for a decade. You probably don't need more training or even better training. You need the other stuff. But that's the stuff you're least consistent with, yet you'll do anything to not miss a gym session, including give up 4 hours of sleep or whatever. So I would look at it as I would almost want consistency in level of development or skill, or however you all look at it, to be like sliding scales. I'm not saying purposely be lazy in the gym, but if that's the thing that's been dialed in for so long and is nailed down, maybe it's okay to miss a workout every couple of weeks if it means Here, it's like, oh, well, now I missed my session on Saturday, but I slept in and I spent 2 hours meal prepping.
Yeah.
Actually, overall, you're way better off now than where you were before. That's how I would look at that.
Oh, and the next Saturday will be way better.
Yes, for sure.
You know, it's the people that will go on vacation and they have to find some place to train, but they're only gone for a week. It blows my mind. It's like, you know, if you don't, and then you come back, a lot of times you don't, then you come back and you're stronger and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I got stronger. And I'm like, motherfucker, this is what you do the week before me, by the way.
Yeah.
But that's okay then, right? Because you do that.
Context,
yeah, but
that's programmed though. That's part of the greater
part
plan.
Of the program. Yeah. Yes. You know, so but with those things that they need to do, trying to think of a really good example. Oh, the McGill 3, right? And people got fucked up backs, right? Yeah. They're all really good with the McGill 3 for about 2 days.
Yeah.
And then it's like, this shit doesn't work because it's not an immediate effect.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, motherfucker, when you took your first shot at test, you know, did you put 50 pounds on your bench?
Yeah, sure.
No. You know, it took a little while before it really started to manifest, where it's going to take more than 2 times. But that's kind of the point here. And
again, I mean, so many of these end up, I think we almost say the same thing. But like, do you think this then links back to like, they're being inconsistent because they don't understand the payoff and effort investment kind of relationship? Like, yes, you're going to clean up your diet. You're not going to feel great next week or even the week after that. But like in 6 months time or 12 months time, you're going to look back and be like, I can't believe I used to feel that way all the time. But maybe we don't understand that. We're expecting this like magic bullet effect. We're like, I know I ate 30 grams of fiber today in my vegetables because I feel amazing. It's like, no, that's not how this works. But, you know, we all know that we can go in the gym and have a great workout and feel good right now. But like just about nothing else does that. Maybe a good night's sleep if you're lucky. But I think people maybe misconstrue what the kind of profile is of the reward that comes with the investment. Just like with everything else, a lot of investment has to happen first before these things start paying off. But I think a really good example is what you gave there with like your cognition, where like you don't realize what level you could function at or were functioning at until you raise it.
Yeah.
Because we're great at compensating. Like people exist on 3 hours of sleep a night. No one's going to argue that's good, but they hold down a job, they have a family or whatever else, but they probably actually can't remember what it's like to sleep 6 to 8 hours a night and how that feels until they go on vacation or something. And then they do, and they're like, oh shit, this is a thing. Like people feel like this. And then maybe the penny drops and you're like, now they're aware of what the reward is. So I think sometimes it'd be, I wish there was some kind of weird experiment you could do. You could maybe take these lifters or anyone who like is really nailed down over here in the gym or whatever this thing is, and just be like, look, we're going to transplant you into someone who does all this other stuff really well. And just live in their body or mind, whatever, for a day or two. Just see how will that feel. And they'd be like, holy shit, like people feel like this. And I know because I've been there.
Yeah.
Like if you had said to me 5 years ago, you could feel like you do now pretty much every day, I'd say you're full of shit. Like go get lost. But I think that's a big part of it too. And I don't know how we get around that other than like, just do it and see what happens for long enough. But I think people just aren't aware of how bad they feel right now, to put it in a negative way, or how good they could feel, to put it in a more like cheesy positive way.
I think all this is good stuff to be able to help them go into the next, 2026,
sure.
Where if I'm to kind of put it all in a package, I think most people understand physical effort, right? They have a grasp on all that. They understand, to be able to get stronger in the weight room and all this other stuff. It takes that physical effort, and they become comfortable with that physical effort. They're okay with that, but they don't understand what the real effort is in the mental side.
Yes.
The mental effort and the mental discipline, and that's really hard, right? And it's okay. That's they need to lean towards that, the way that they lean towards the physical effort, instead of when they lean towards that, backing away and leaning harder into the physical effort, where that mental effort with all these kind of things, kind of putting all this together, it's really hard. It's really hard. I'm not going to, lie to anybody about that, but there's a reason why there's a top 10% in everything. Yeah, right? It's because they lean into that while still maintaining, that, because both are necessary. But when they can lean into that, and then there's no guarantee. Like I said, that's why it's so hard. Yes, is there's no guarantee, with all that. But there is a fucking guarantee if you don't.
Yeah, very well said. Absolutely. Which you know where that path leads, at least.
Yeah, everybody knows where that, because it's not miraculously going to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
And anything, it doesn't. You don't wake up one day and it's like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
I'm strong as fuck now. I'm jacked.
Yeah.
Somebody just dumped $1 million in the bank. Holy shit. Well, it doesn't work like that. It's the other way.
I think it was on a Jordan Peterson podcast. He was asked about like the Soviet Union and all the atrocities that happened there. And he was like, how does society get to such a terrible place? And he's like, well, you get to such a terrible place in the same way that you get to a great place. One tiny terrible or one tiny great step at a time. And it's like, how you feel now is trillions of steps over and over again. The same with feeling great is this iteration of tiny little things. And a good example of this was yesterday. Naomi and I had like a shared spreadsheet with like our goals for 2025, hers and mine, and then like kind of joint ones. And I couldn't even remember what mine were, but I knew at the beginning of the year, like put habits in place. So I was like, I want to make sure I do X, Y, and Z or whatever, either every day or with a certain frequency. And over the year, I totally forgot what was even on this spreadsheet. And she went through hers and she was like, do you want me to read yours too? I was like, well, yeah, great, because I can't remember what they are. And she went through them and I'd done them all. I didn't even know what they were, but I did put at the beginning of the year, I did put habits that I wanted to achieve, and like meditation, breathing exercises. On days I don't train, I do some kind of like Kung Fu, Qigong, whatever, various other things. One of them was commit to my diet and training experiment. And if I just did those every day, these are the things I want to do every day. And at the end of the year, all those perhaps lofty goals, she read through them all. I was like, cool, I'd done them all. And it wasn't through lack of effort, but it wasn't almost a conscious decision towards that greater end goal. It was a conscious decision towards the micro level, and over time micro adds up to some pretty macro things.
Well, when you put them down, you committed to it without even knowing you commit to it. Because as soon as you put it down, that's another level.
It exists.
Just putting it in your head, it's tangible. With that said, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Wish you all a happy new year. And we'll see you next year. Thanks, Tom.